Well, hello, everyone. We are in Jesup, Georgia today at the headquarters of Mobile Concrete. We're so happy that Mobile has joined the association last year and they've been enjoying the benefits, the many benefits that we offer to our members. I've been looking forward to this interview with founder Albert Dyle for quite some time. Albert and I met last year and we've enjoyed a great friendship that's built upon our mutual faith in Jesus Christ. We have been encouraging each other by text on a nearly daily basis. So it's a real treat to be together in person today. Albert, good to be with you. Please jump in and tell us your story.
I'm honored. Well, Brother Bill, I grew up sharecropper's son. My dad was a farmer, turpentiner, and did whatever we could do to make a dollar to feed the family, kept things going. And I started working at a concrete plant in 1964.
Wow.
My job was unloading block by hand and cleaning out a bucket elevator. And I started driving a mixer when I was 16. And it was
Let me interrupt real quick. What town were you here?
Baxley.
In Baxley.
In Baxley, Georgia. And one day I picked up a rock on the yard there and threw back toward the plant. I said, Lord, I'd like to have one of these one day. Never dreamed I'd have one. Never dreamed it. And so anyway, I kept working, and they drafted me, so I went into the military for 4 years and come back, and I went back in the industry, working in the industry, and then one day things wasn't going the way I wanted them to. I threw my old weld machine and my old junky truck and torches and drove off, not knowing what I was going to do. But the Lord started opening doors for me, and I got in business for myself in 1978, and the rest of it's history.
So in 1978, who were you working for before leading up to that time?
Savannah Concrete. Well, I had worked for Evans Concrete and different things, and finished concrete, and then I started working with Savannah Concrete.
So you were actually a concrete finisher too.
Oh yeah.
Say I didn't. That's new. I didn't know that.
Yep. And two of my brothers was concrete finishers. Very good one, may I add. And but you know, you ain't never really know what the Lord has planned for us, and you look back on it. But I've been in business many times. I wanted to quit, but he wouldn't let me. He said, "No, boy, you got to keep going." Yeah. So here I am today.
So you started. When did Mobile Concrete come into being? When did it?
78.
In 78. That's
1978.
When you. Yeah. And talk about that a little bit. Where was your?
Allenhurst, Georgia. Mr. I.B. Downs was wanting to sell his concrete operation in Allenhurst, which is adjacent to Hinesville, and I kept going by and visiting with him, and one day he decided to sell to me, so myself and 3 other guys purchased it, and over a period of time I had bought them out, and the rest of it history.
So you began with one plant.
Yep.
And talk us through the growth, if you could.
The next one was in Darien. Mr. Jed Lewis tragically was in an accident and died, and he and Thomas Wright was proprietors down there, and they asked me to get involved, and I purchased it, and then the next one was Glenville. Went into Glenville, Georgia there, and then we next one we came to Jesup, and then from there we put a plant down in Nahana, Georgia, and then we was operating those in Glen, I say, and operating Glenville over there, and then we went into Baxley, and then Hazelhurst. But in the interim, we went into Brunswick as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good market, I would think, Brunswick.
Yeah, we expanded twice during the Great Recession. Sure did.
During the Great Recession, you expanded.
Twice, yeah.
So how many running plants today?
We're running 8 today.
8 plants today. How did you happen to have set up headquarters, or when did you set up headquarters here in Jesup? How long has that been?
Well, we bought the Jesup plant from Mr. Herman Morris in 1990, and my wife was from Jesup. My children lived in Jesup, so we just moved the office from Allenhurst to Jesup, and that's how we settled here in Jesup.
We have seen, without a doubt, you and I have been talking, and Ollie we've been all having some good conversation. Lots of changes in our industry over certainly since the early 60s. What, in your mind, what kind of stands out as the big changes in ready mix over that span of time? What comes to mind as really big changes?
Well, Bill, let me say this. When I first got in the business, we were working in the business, and we were pulling the old levers. We'd run up the stairs there to dump the material in the back of the truck, and on and so on. And then cement run low, we got the bags and put in the back of the truck. To me, the biggest thing I see has changed in the ready-mix industry is the mindset of the people and the employees. And what I mean by that is we worked. We did what we needed to do. We didn't have no air-conditioned trucks. We just bear the burden of a hot truck, and we did what we needed to do. But having a working knowledge of the industry, I see that missing today, even when the average driver doesn't have the knowledge of the material he's moving that he should have. And I think the induction of automation into the industry, AI computers, is good to a point, but it's a detriment at another point. It stops the learning process of the people that's working in it. That's the thing I see changing today.
So it's a good thing in a way.
In a way, but it's a bad thing in another way.
What else in the way of today, the challenges to the ready mix producer? What comes to mind is headwinds, challenges that are particularly on your mind lately?
Is, Bill, one of the things that for years, when we first got into the industry was way underfunded. And the reason it was underfunded because of the price. There wasn't enough money within the industry to really replace the trucks, replace the equipment, pay the people appropriately the wages they needed. It wasn't there because of the depressed prices.
Yes.
And we had some people in the industry that didn't know how to price a yard of concrete. And today I see that the industry has become healthier because the price has been able to get up and keep it up. Excuse me, but if you want to kill the industry, kill the price.
It's an expensive business to be in.
Well, it is now.
A mixer.
It is, but now there's something else too. It takes X number of dollars to fund the business.
Yes.
And to properly fund it, and you can have a poor business, or you can have a business that's healthy, economically speaking.
Don't you think too, when you back to the earlier question of big changes in the industry, when I've asked that question to other people, and I think this will resonate with you, but safety, and that costs money.
It does.
So safety,
Very much so.
Safety, when you began, let's face it, in general, whether it's pulp and paper or construction or whatever, the whole mindset around safety is dramatically changed. I know it has for me. I grew up in pulp and paper, as you know, and I don't mean it was just total recklessness, but the care given to safety and the money spent, whether it's the batch plant or the ready mix trucks. You know what I'm saying?
Surely, let me say it like this: we have a full-time safety officer, full-time employee, a safety officer at Mobile Concrete, and when I first got into business up in Baxley, working with a friend of mine at the plant up there, which I had a very high regard for him, I'd run up the silo with a burlap bag and I'd put over the vent pipe. And when the driver got through pumping off, I'd go up and take the burlap bag down and I'd bring it down. And we didn't really have any safety issues. We didn't have an air quality problem there, but we did the best we could with it. But today, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yes, it is.
And the way we treat the environment, and, we want to do the best we can. But safety issues is a big deal in our industry. It really is.
Well, and as you point out, I mean, and when I came in 2002, I believe most of the trucks at Fulton Concrete had air conditioners, but not all of them. We were transitioning. But to get in a mixer in Atlanta, never mind Jesup in Brunswick, in the middle of July and August.
Well, we delivered the concrete. I was employed by Strickland Concrete at the time, and there was a gentleman who came down, Pittman Curb and Gutter. You might have heard of them, but they were doing a curb and gutter from Rio Near into Jesup, and I was the only driver that they would allow to pour concrete into the machine. They wanted me to dump it in the machine, and they'd bring me the truck, and I'd pour it out for them. And which was fine. But I literally took cardboard and put cardboard down in the floorboard of the old Max, because it was, you talking about hot?
Yes.
Yeah, it was hot. And you sitting in that curb machine, you're trying to pour out, no air conditioning, and no fan in the truck. And it was brutal. It was brutal. But now, we survived it. We got through it.
Well, and employees, I think it's safe to say too that employee expectations have changed dramatically.
Surely, yeah.
They wouldn't, if you took away the air, AC and other things, you wouldn't be able to be staffed. I mean, people expect a lot. Tell me about how your family has become involved in this business. Talk a little bit about Felicia, and if you would.
Well, Daddy has spoiled them. Lynn and I, we had old girls, and to have a family business, you didn't have a son, so you want the business to go on, you got to do it through a daughter. And I chose Felicia way before I saw something in her that I felt like that she was the one that needed to be ahead. And I was hard on her, tough on her. And she's come a long way. She does a better job than I do in most cases. I don't tell her that, but she does.
Don't tell her.
No, but she is, and but she has the business at heart. That's the thing.
Yes.
You got to have it in your heart. You got to be willing to get up and sacrifice to make the business go. be compassionate in the process.
Now, when you and I first met, you told me, to me, it was a kind of a humorous story about her early days. Are you?
Well, I had a fire one time.
Well,
so
tell us about that.
I'd be working over Allen or something other, and she was working in the office over there, and I'd come in and I'd say, "Where's she at?" I've been in the field doing something or other, either on the job, whatever. She'd already taken off by Jesup. I kept telling her, I said, "Now look here, you got to get serious with your job." She didn't listen, so I told her one day, I says, "You need to go home, find you something else to do." I said, "You're fired."
Wow. Wow.
So she did different things for about 9 months later. She came back to Daddy. She said, "Daddy, if you let me come back to work, I promise you I won't be doing what I was doing before." I said, "I'll give you a try, but if you don't do it, you know where you're going, you're out." Well, she came back a fireball.
Wow. What a great story.
And she took it seriously. And so she's earned it. Yeah. But now I didn't cut her in slack. Just like an old. But she's very genuine. You know, one of the things too, Bill, that being tenderhearted, she tells me I'm too compassionate.
She tells you that?
Yeah, she tells me that. But you know, Lynn and I, we struggled bringing these kids up. And I worked hard, worked a lot of hours. I became a stranger in my own house because I would leave before the kids were up, and when I come in, they were already in the bed.
Going to bed, yeah.
And that went on for years. I thought, well, I became a stranger in my own house, trying to get my feet in, under me and get it going. And but to have them here with you, working with you, and I want to make sure they get the right message. I want to make sure they get the right training. So the Lord's blessed me to be able to do that, and I'm hard on one side, but very compassionate on the other.
So, family-wise, who works in, obviously, Felicia? Who else is?
I have two daughters, April, Sheila, and Felicia. I have two nieces. Selena runs a plant over in Glenville for us, and my grandniece is being trained now for backup for her. I've got three grandsons. Grand nephews. Two grandnephews.
Wow.
And one nephew. I was trying to think, and I believe that takes care of it. So I think that does. And no, I got another grandson that's working over in Allenhurst now, helping them at the plant and the yard man over there. So I have a grandson that's running the plant in Allenhurst for us. The young man, his name is Timothy Durkin.
Timothy. Mm-hmm.
I had to fire him for 30 days. And he kept telling me, he said, "Papa," at the week, he said, "I want to come back to work." I said, "No, you're not coming back." So I made him stay off for 30 days. And he was a whipped puppy. He told me, he said, "Papa, if you'll let me come back, you won't have to worry about me no more."
Wow.
Bill, I get up 3:34 in the morning, and I've always done that for years. So I'd go to the bathroom window and I'd look down at my daughter's house and see if he was getting up. I've had an employee over in Hinesville that we've been over 40 years. He says, "I can't beat him to work." He said, "When I get to work, he's here waiting on me."
Wow.
And tremendous work ethics, does an excellent job, sharp as a tack, good on the computers. I mean, he's just a godsend to me. And one day he said, "I want to be just like Papa." He's got his bachelor's test behind him. He's getting ready to take his technician's test, and he does a good job. Does a wonderful job.
That's very, very exciting to hear. I love the stories of our producers and the family businesses. It's such a special part of what I think makes our industry really, really enjoyable. I want to back up just for a moment. We mentioned the Great Recession. Talk a little bit about what it was like in this part of the world, in this part of Georgia. You mentioned you expanded, but take just a moment. What was it like when everything started crashing in 2008?
Really, one of the cement suppliers salesmen came by and I told him, I says, we're going in a recession and it's not going to go away quick. It's going to get deep. His statement was, they said, no, the PCA says that we're going to have on and on and on. I said, I think they're wrong. And but we tightened our belt as much as we could. I went 2 years without a salary. I lived off my wife's salary. I'd accumulated some life insurance policies that I cashed in to keep the people going.
Yes.
And then after things started picking up, I started drawing salary again. But I draw enough to pay my tithes at church, and that was it. Make sure I give my portion back to God. But we, down in Brunswick, East Coast, they, for some reason or other, they shut down, and opportunity came up for us to take it over, and we did. Gentleman up in Baxley had gotten into the business. He had gotten into it during the recession time there. But he was a little mad with one of the other producers, and I told him, I says, don't go into business mad now. I said, that won't work. So anyway, he did. And he came to me about 6 months later. He says, Albert, you got to take me out. He said, I'm going broke. He said, you got to take me out. And I told him, I said, I can't. I mean, it's during this time. I was brushing my teeth one morning, Bill, and like the Lord said, give him $5,000 a month rental on it, and then you can buy it later on. So I went to him, I said, look, I'll lease it for a year from you. I'll give you $5,000 a month for it. That'll take care of the notes and whatever, And then at the end of the year, I'll buy it. So he went before his church up there, and they told him, one man said, do what he's offering you. Said that's the best thing to do. So we did. I took it over and I had to get the plant in operation where it would work and everything. And then some things started happening for us. And their bank up there sent word over there, said, we'd rather have you on a note than him. I was leasing it from him at the time, So I sent word about the banker, well, you just bring a note over here and I'll sign it for you. And they did. So we had, we were in control there. But we were out one Saturday morning, we were pouring for Beasley timber up in Hazelhurst. They had to tear out some concrete and we was facing it back. And I was up there with the drivers and the trucks, and I was walking around and directing traffic, helping out whatever I could. And I got an opportunity to meet the owner's father. And we got in conversation. We stood there and talked. And so we talked about the Lord, talked about everything. And I had on my overalls and my boots. And we started living in concrete for the Beasley family there. And the Lord just blessed them and blessed us. And I mean, it was a blessing. So we got Brunswick up and going, and got Baxley up and going. And so it was a blessing of the Lord. It's all from him. I'm going to give him the credit and honor for it. They just used an old poor boy like me to walk it through.
Albert, as you look back over the years that you've been in the business, since you've been grown up, so to speak, in the early 60s when you got into it, and what, or rather, who, does anyone come to mind? I mean, clearly, you have a strong faith and you rely heavily on the counsel you seek from the Lord. So obvious.
Surely.
But He sends into our lives wise people. Is there anyone? Are there people that come to mind? Are there any people that that you would, as you look back, you would say, well, I was highly influenced, by this person or another? You know what I'm saying? In other words, are there
Surely.
anyone come to mind?
Let me say this. The gentleman, his name was Ned Oglesby. He was a plant manager up in Baxley. I was in high school, and I done know the block for him and clean out, bucket elevator, whatever. But I would literally skip classes, skip school to go sit with Ned up at his office
Wow.
in Baxley and just fellowship with him. He was a very special man to me, and he taught me something about honesty in business. But not only that, I would go up and hang that bag on that silo to catch that dust. He could tell you where every pound went, where every rock went. Efficient. He was the most efficient manager that Evans Concrete ever had. I learned a lot from him, but I learned something else. Well, we moved the plant up there, and I was just gotten out of service, and I'm in pretty good physical condition. And had a weed sling. I was cleaning up the yard up there, slinging weeds with a weed sling. He'd walk up to me. He said, "Son," he said, "don't you get too hot." He said, "Let some of these other boys." I said, "I got it in the head." I'd go on and do it. But he was a very compassionate man, very dedicated to duty, very honest. And he and Edmund Lewis was employed by Evans Concrete. Edmund Lewis was an excellent manager himself. Also, Mr. John Strickland was in the sand business. Rough, crude, but very wise, very compassionate. Gained a lot from him in the sand business. He taught me the sand business, which was very helpful in the end and still is today. I learned some good things and some bad things from George Strickland Jr., Jack Strickland, but good man, nothing bad to say about him. Billy Harris was a good man, but we had little differences there. But anyway, good people. But now, working with finishers over the years, I gained and learned a lot from them, listening to them. Man's got a problem, he won't tell you what it is. You listen to him, he can tell you what the problem is, and then you can find a solution. But I've had a lot of people inspire me over the years. Miss Marie Godby with Evans Concrete, she was a very intelligent lady. She was very honest, all business, and she appreciated a person's ability. She really did. She's a good lady.
Question just popped into my head. What you've been in this for a very long time. What has kept you in it, and what, kind of a two-part question maybe, what's kept you in it all these years, and what pleasure and enjoyment do you find in our business?
Well, let me say this. I had to learn to weld. I had to learn to be an electrician. I had to learn to be a plumber and a mechanic. And I had to learn ready mix concrete, the business aspect of it. But what I've enjoyed the most out of it is the people that I've come in contact with it. We did work down at Kings Bay. We did the first 3 phases down there, and I met some people with H.G. Harder's and Son. One of them, his name was Frank Talley, and he was there in Mississippi when that hurricane came in there, Camille.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. And but he told me something. He said, Albert, he said, there's no risk in a job, there's no money. He said, don't be afraid to step out there. He said, because if there's not a risk in it, there's no money. And it was.
That's true.
That's very true.
That's very true.
And I still remember it. And but I've had, you know, superintendents and things like that over the years that we were doing a paving job on Fort Stewart, and their operator for the paving machine was sick. He was from Atlanta. We sat there about 4 or 5 weeks, and Billy Herring called me and says, go over there and operate that machine for him. I said, okay. I went over and got on it, cranked it up, started playing with it. 2 days later, we were paving.
Wow.
So, but the Lord had blessed me with that. I have that, you know, ability to do that. I give him all the credit for it. And but you know, he said something to Bill. He said that the love of God casts out fear. We shouldn't walk around in fear. We should go boldly into it, headstrong, and believe that He's going to be with us. We're going to be all right. He's going to be all right.
Last question. What advice would you give to the next generation coming into this business, and just kind of your collective wisdom to say, here's what I would offer as someone who's been around a long time?
Be willing to sacrifice. Learn the business. Learn the mechanics of concrete itself. They differ, they vary. And but protect the industry, protect the price, take care of your people. There's a word in the Bible that says gravity, but all gravity. And I really had a hankering to figure out what that word really meant. It means complete honesty. Let's be honest in our business. Keep honor in it and keep honesty in it. And treat the people fairly. The Lord loves a just and balanced scale. And if we keep the scales balanced, He'll do His part. I believe that wholeheartedly. Now, when I said learn the business, don't be so dependent on a computer that you can't manually batch concrete, that if the computer goes down, you're down. Be ready to do it if you have to without the computers.
Right.
That's the way I see it.
Albert, it is so good to be here. It's been a great morning. We're going to go have, it sounds like, a very good country cooked meal here shortly. My stomach's starting to growl. But I am grateful for your friendship. It's really been good the last year or so to be mutually exhorting each other. And I look forward to continuing to be your friend and your brother.
I appreciate the opportunity to sit down and fellowship with you and tell a little bit about my story. And let me say this: I grew up poor. But I never got caught up in pride. I'm thankful to the Lord for what He's done for us, and I'm hoping that my children will continue to go on in the future. I really want them to do that. And I fuss a lot, and they don't really pay me a whole lot of attention, brother. But it's okay. But I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate the job you're doing for the state of Georgia. I know your heart's in it, and you genuinely want to help. And I appreciate that.
Thanks again, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.